Today, we're joined by SJSU Online student Adam Noorhani, who's going to discuss tips for new online students. So Adam, really looking forward to this conversation today, especially because you are early in your program as well. So I'm sure you've accumulated some wisdom already as you've gone through your program. Before we dive into the tips for today's topic, I was wondering if you could introduce yourself to all of our viewers and just share some of the significant moments that shaped who you are and led you to become an SJSU Online student.
Sure, that sounds great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Like Brian said, my name is Adam. I'm currently an anthropology student at SJSU Online. My journey getting here wasn't exactly straightforward. I've been in and out of school for different reasons, but I always knew that I wanted to finish my degree. What really drew me to SJSU Online was the flexibility. It gave me a real chance to balance school with everything else going on in my life. Anthropology as a subject has always fascinated me. Before I decided to attend SJSU, I knew that that was the major that I wanted to have. It's really interesting to me because it helps us understand people, their cultures, their histories, even the ways that we shape the world around us, and looking into the future as well. In that way, it's kind of that curiosity that has led me here today. And so I'd like to share some of my experiences that helped me succeed as an online student. I chose SJSU Online because I needed a program that fit my life and not the other way around. The anthropology program specifically stood out to me because it's not just about studying the past, it's about applying what we learn to the present and future. The program has helped me stay on track towards my goals, but more than that, it's given me a way to keep learning in a way that actually works for me. And that's something I think a lot of online students can relate to. We're balancing school with our jobs, with our family, and everything else that goes on in life. So finding a program that makes it possible to succeed without sacrificing everything else is a really big deal for me.
Wow, thanks so much, Adam, for just that just really helpful introduction into who you are, how you came to be enrolled at SJSU Online, and why it appealed to you. I think what you shared with your story is just really relatable to so many people. I know you said your journey hasn't been like a straightforward one in terms of accessing higher education, but at the same time, I feel like that applies to so many people's experiences. Like you said, we all have to navigate our lives and all the different like responsibilities and obligations and obstacles and challenges and all these things. And so trying to fit it, in, continuing to pursue a higher education and a degree and being able to, access that, like you said, finding something that fits into your life and not the other way around. I really like the way that you frame that. It is really meaningful to be able to, still pursue that goal while just juggling everything else that we have going on in our lives. And I really like how you kind of framed the anthropology program specifically too. It's not just about, like you said, understanding the past, but thinking about how that applies to our present and to our future as well. And just thinking about the overall like applicability and transferability of the program. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. So I know we're here to talk about some tips that you've used or that you've gained as you've gone through the program. So maybe first to look at studying and productivity specifically. Are there any tips that you found that you've been helpful for you as you've begun your program?
Yeah, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that success as an online student isn't about being naturally good at studying. It's about building habits that set you up for success. The first habit that made a huge difference for me was creating structure. Online learning gives you a lot of flexibility, but that also means you have to hold yourself accountable. I started treating my schoolwork like my job. I schedule specific times to study each week, and I treat them as non-negotiables. Even if I don't have something urgent due that day, I use that time to review or get ahead. So over time, building that habit, it's become automatic, which means I don't have to rely on motivation, for example, to get things done. And a second habit I have picked up on through my college experience is active learning. So when we think of studying, just reading or highlighting a textbook, it really isn't enough. And if I want to actually remember and understand something, I have to interact with it in some way. So one of the best ways I've done this is by summarizing concepts in my own words, either by writing them down or saying them out loud. Sometimes I'll even try to teach the material to someone else, which might not be always the most fun for them, but it really helps me. It forces me to kind of clarify my thoughts. Another method I use is self-quizzing. So before a test, I'll try to recall information without looking at my notes. And I think that process of retrieving information really strengthens my memory, and it's more helpful than just rereading something. Um, the last thing I've learned is that our small habits really matter. So if I wait for long blocks of free time to study, I usually end up cramming. Instead, I've gotten into the habit of using short study sessions throughout the week, maybe 15 to 20 minutes to keep myself engaged with the material. Um, it really helps me from getting overwhelmed and makes learning feel a lot more manageable that way.
That's awesome. It sounds like you're rocking it right now. I really appreciate you just highlighting all those tips and, like you said, really the habits that you formed for yourself specifically. Because I think sometimes when we think about enrolling in an online program, especially if maybe I've been out of school for a while or I have a lot of other things going on, that can seem like a really challenging thing or a really daunting experience. Like, oh, I have to be really tech savvy, or I have to, I'm not up on like current platforms or technology or yada yada. But I think a lot of the things that you highlighted
Mhm.
actually don't speak to any of that at all. It's like you said, really thinking about developing the discipline and blocking out time for yourself, treating it like a job, like you said, having these like incremental gains, even just the way that you're processing the information and really thinking about how you can retain it by really processing it and reflecting on your own, and then being able to reteach it to other people. So these are things that really I think anybody could do, right? It just takes, like you said, just the continual practice of it to the point to where it becomes habitual to do that.
Yeah, totally. I think of these things less as like tips or hacks, but like kind of foundational habits that really help students be successful, but can be applied to like so many areas of life, whether it's work, school, anything like
Agreed.
that.
Yeah, especially like you said, if you're kind of looking at this program as if it were a job, like you said, you could just take these same approaches that you're using in your program and apply it to any role that you're in or any kind of organizational system that you're trying to put together, any goal that you have. You could just take the same ideas and just plug them in. And you were
Yeah,
talking
absolutely.
about how you think about active learning and approaching the material in that way. Do you have any other tips related to kind of how you engage in your program too? So whether it's like participation in your courses, interacting with your faculty, or collaborating with your classmates, things along those lines.
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to make an online program, especially, feel less online is is by actually engaging with people. So I think a big one for me has been participating in discussions. A lot of classes, those are required, and it's easy to think of them as just another assignment. But I think that when you really engage, you get more out of them. You start to see different perspectives, and it makes the material more interesting that way. Um, the other thing is connecting with professors and classmates. I think it's easy to feel kind of isolated in an online program, but by asking questions, attending office hours, joining SJSU's online's Discord channel, or even just reaching out to classmates can make a huge difference. I think it's important to remember that we're not doing this alone. It's a collaborative effort, and there's a whole community of people who are here to help us succeed.
Yeah, you're totally right, and I appreciate you really just highlighting that. Yeah, because I think again, if you're thinking about enrolling in a program online, it could feel almost kind of isolating, right? You're enrolling on your own, you don't really know anyone else, but like you said, there's so many opportunities to really make the most out of being enrolled in the program and connecting with your students, your peers, collaborating with them, communicating with faculty, participating in different channels where you can connect with other students or learn from them or share resources and ideas and best practices and all those things. So really just trying to make the most out of the opportunity as a whole, as opposed to just completing the courses, checking the boxes and, getting your degree. As you were saying that too, reminded me of this study that was done a while ago that looked at um, high levels of engagement in academic programs and then how that translated into high levels of engagement after people graduated, like when they moved on to the workforce. And so I think
Uh,
just so many of the things that you highlighted in the way that you approach your studying, and how much you're learning and how you're learning in your programs, and also how you're engaging with everyone else in the program too, things along that line, you're just going to reach this higher level of engagement overall in your program. But then you'll be able to, like you highlighted earlier, transfer those same approaches to whatever you do after you're done and still have a high level of engagement after you graduate as well. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you. I
So
appreciate
anyway,
it.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate you just taking the time to talk about your experience a little bit with us and highlight some of the tips and habits that have really been successful for you as you've gone through your program. It sounds like you're having, you'll have no problem, continuing to apply those as you go through your program and beyond. So appreciate the time, Adam. Thank you to our viewers for learning about SJSU Online. If you want to learn more, you can always visit our website and get in contact with our enrollment counseling team, and we will catch you in the next live stream. Thanks, y'all.